Welcome to the Workology Podcast, a podcast for the disruptive workplace leader. Join host Jessica Miller-Merrill, founder of Workology.com, as she sits down and gets to the bottom of trends, tools, and case studies for the business leader, HR, and recruiting professional who is tired of the status quo. Now here's Jessica with this episode of Workology.
One of my favorite things to do is geek out with someone about new tools, technologies, as well as Chrome and Gmail extensions that they are using in their work. I like to share what I've been using and connect with them about the ones they've been using and learn more. I recently finished up a webinar on social recruiting strategies with Dice, and we had so many questions all around Chrome, Gmail extensions, and just cool tools. I thought I'd sit down in a more informal atmosphere and talk about my favorite tools for recruiting and HR, as well as things that are working for me, but bring in my favorite fellow geek in the HR and recruiting space, Arron Daniels, to talk more with us about his favorite tools for sourcing, recruiting, and just best practices for productivity strategies. Arron, welcome to the Workology Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jessica. I appreciate it.
Can you talk a little bit about your background in case people aren't familiar with you? I don't know why they wouldn't be familiar with you, but can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, of course. So I've been recruiting for around 10 years, both in agency, non-agency side. I've been, for the majority of my career, I've been a sourcer doing that deep dive and candidate engagement piece. So sourcing 2.0 is, as a lot of folks like to say. And I've played in the aerospace industry. I played in a little bit in oil and gas, but I'm really just always have been a generalist that just so happens to work on technical recs. So I'm a bit of a firefighter in the true sense. So
I like that you say you're a fighter. Well, I love how you use different tools and extensions and things that are very different than me, which is why I was like, we have to get Arron on to talk with me, because I think it's going to be a fun conversation, because we both do different jobs and we work differently, but complementary. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. What are your favorite tools for sourcing and recruiting?
There are so many tools. The few of my favorites, one is HireTool. And if you haven't heard of HireTool and you're in the recruiting space, that's a must-have. It's a shame on you if not. And then I like using LeadIQ and Lucia. Those are three of my favorites right now that I find myself using on the daily, if not every other day, for sure.
I have to say that I have downloaded Lucia and I've been testing it out, and how I've been using it is I'm sourcing editors of major publications for their email address so I can pitch my articles and stories to them. And so far, Lucia is 0 for 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
are you looking for phone numbers or are you looking for emails?
Either, because I will call or email. But at this point, and I guess I could call into the Harvard Business Review, but it's likely that the folks probably work remote. But I've been using it for email, and it hasn't been working as like I've heard from other sourcers.
Yeah. I've had about a 60% success rate. I'm just ballparking here. I don't have like solid data for that. But if I had to guess, there's about a 60% success rate. I'm really using it for phone numbers though, because typically I'm going to grab email either through any of the other tons of tools that we're using, whether it be HireTool or LeadIQ or even Profit. So between those 3 or 4 tools there, if I don't get their email address, then Lucia is like a last ditch effort. But when I verify phone numbers, or when I'm looking for phone numbers, Lucia for me has been pretty accurate.
It may just be the community of people, the particular audience that I'm trying to use, but I was kind of like, let me put my sourcing hat on and how I can maybe use Lucia in my everyday. So far, not a lot of success, but it's early, so I'll keep working.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, who knows? I might be just in a nice Goldilocks portion of the web, and then maybe tomorrow it'll stop working, but who knows?
Well, let's talk a little bit about social media workplace productivity tools. What are your favorites, and then I'll share mine.
Oh my gosh. I mean, social media productivity, I love IFT for sure. I think you're a huge fan of IFT as well. IFT has just got so many applets, so many recipes you can plug and play in there between everything. And I also use IFT for pushing notes and resumes back and forth between Evernote. I think Brian Fink turned me onto that, using Evernote as almost like a CRM or a CRM light, while I'm just harvesting dossiers, if you will, and resumes and profiles, or whatever the heck you want to call them, out there on the web. I want a place to store them while I'm still chasing them down or building out contact information. So an IFT is really, really nice there.
So I'm also a fan of IFT, and I use IFT to say every Monday on Twitter, good morning, from the Workology account. And then I'll also have scheduled it so on my birthday, it says thank you for all the birthday wishes on Facebook. And I have some different recipes. One of my favorites is if you get an email and it has an attachment that has the word resume on it, it automatically uploads it to a folder in Dropbox for myself.
Exactly. That one's awesome. And, I use, I run Source Houston, the sourcing and recruiting conference down here in Houston. And I love using the Instagram to Twitter recipe. If you post from Instagram to Twitter, it doesn't put the picture in there. So you have to go back and either do it originally through Twitter, but they have a cool recipe where it'll push the actual picture through, so you don't have to double post. If you want to double post, that is, you got to mix it up. But that's one recipe I find super helpful, because switching back and forth between all the different social media accounts, that can be killer.
Another thing that I have my Google Calendar add events to a Google Drive spreadsheet, and I just do that in case, because I've had it happen where somebody accidentally deleted one of my Google spreadsheet or one of my Google accounts. And so I have something stored somewhere where I can still remember, okay, what did I do and where did I travel, whether it's for tax purposes or just because I want to be able to have some sort of record of when I met with this person 18 months ago.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'll have to find one. I like that one. And then I am sad about IFT and their change where they don't do the text messages anymore, so they just do the push notifications. I use that heavily, and I would have paid for that service, but I used to use IFT for text messages to warn me if there's severe weather or if there's a frost warning, so that I knew I had to cover my plants, or allergy alerts, which, says a whole lot about me and my nerdiness. I have horrible cedar allergies. So this will let me know, take your medication.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I've never gone that route with this, but I'm still exploring, and there's so many different combinations in there. You never know what you'll find. So IFT is definitely something that's something that I need to continue to tinker with.
I wish it would be organized better, because it's very hard to find the recipes unless you just spend a lot of time searching. Wish they had like a recruiting category. Maybe we can reach out to the IFT people and say, hey, make this for us because we need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got to be careful, because we don't want something else for us to tell us to pay for it. Like, hey, we just made this, now you should pay for it. So
yeah, I think we should get free rights forever, because we've made this recommendation. So I want to talk about other social media productivity tools, because one of the things that I mentioned in the digital recruiting presentation that I gave recently was one of my favorite new tools called Meet Edgar, and it's MEEEDGAR. And I like Meet Edgar because it allows you to recycle content. So it takes a little bit of time. You have to upload your photos, your content, but then you select the accounts that it goes to, you pick your schedule, and then if I have 100 pieces of content to go on Facebook and I post 2 times a day, 4 days a week, it's going to take 3 months or more for all that sort of stuff to cycle through, but it looks like I'm active even without having to constantly be aggregating content.
Oh, that's a good one. I need to start playing around with that one for sure.
It is a paid tool. I paid for the entire year, but I really love it because it does allow you, one of the problems with Hootsuite is that you have to keep uploading it all the time.
Right.
And then there's the question of, is my photo going to come through or not?
Yeah, they've been pretty hit or miss with that. A buddy of mine who runs social media down here, they were using Hootsuite and they were saying the same thing. It's having hit or miss times with that. And then the same thing, I believe they were using Buffer as well, and they were just looking for something different. So I'm going to share this one. This is a good one.
Yeah, and I talked to somebody yesterday that I hadn't connected to in a couple years, and he used to have an HR tech company, and out of the HR tech company came a social media product, and it's called Twibble. So it's kind of what if you I don't know if you use Twitter feed, but it's kind of what Twitter
Yes.
feed. It's like Twitter feed and Hootsuite had a baby.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to check that out this week. And it's a paid tool too, but it offers that RSS feed. Because one of the things I really miss is all the Yahoo pipes that I would do all these crazy things on to sort content and then make RSS feeds so that I could then post really customized content on social media. And now I don't necessarily have those tools now that Twitter feed is gone and then Yahoo Pipes is no longer. So I'm hoping maybe Twibble will be able to be up for the challenge. We'll see.
Man, I hope so. You were pretty, if I remember properly, you were devastated when pipes went away.
I mean, I used it for so many things. Yeah. For what they kept it around for a while, like you could still get there and they were all active, but it was both of them. And I feel so old school because I did rely on Yahoo Pipes so much, but I just loved them.
We'll pour some out for him tonight. Pour some
Yeah.
out for your Yahoo pipe honeys.
Or maybe I just know I learn how to code, so I don't even need to use a pipe, and then I can just make my own. But I'll work on that. I'll add that to my to-do list.
Or if there's any coders listening right now.
Yes, call me, please, please. Well, let's take a bit of a reset here. This is Jessica Miller Merrill, and you're listening to the Workology podcast. We are talking today about productivity hacks, Chrome extensions, Gmail extensions, all the cool tools for recruiting, sourcing, and just social media activity. So we want to give you kind of the down low. And I'm here with my good friend, Arron Daniels. And you can get with Arron on Twitter at ARRON_Daniels. Really easy. Well, let's jump back a little bit and maybe talk about the craziest or most impressive tool or tip you may be using right now in your work, or if you care to share. Like, you don't have to give us all your secrets, but tell us your favorite or your craziest one.
Oh my gosh. So I guess it depends on who you ask, right? So if you ask like my buddy Aaron Lentz, like he'll be like, no, that's not crazy at all. This is super duper easy. But data miner, it's a data scraping tool. They recently came out with a recipe, their recipe creator. It's a Chrome extension. So if you're familiar with data scraping, typically you have to map out locations of a web page to tell that tool what it is that you want and how you want it mapped out and all that other jazz. And you'd have to go into hit the F12 button and look at what X paths essentially, and copy and paste those to where you want it or whatever. So now they came out with a recipe creator tool from the folks at Data Miner. So that it's a nice little user interface, and you just basically click and tell it where you want it to go. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but it takes a lot of that scary looking code stuff out that people were kind of squeamish about. Unless you're obviously like Aaron Lentz or Mark Lugden, those guys there, they can translate code with their eyeballs. But so recipe creator is a really cool one, and the data miner is still something that I use on the daily. So if there's any open databases out there for certifications that I'm looking for, you can scrape the whole daggum thing. And now you can use either the data miner recipe that you never know, the community itself saves recipes for you to look at, or you can create your own with recipe creators. So and big hat tilt to Aaron Lentz for showing me that a couple years back. It's been a game changer for me. So if you're not scraping the data that's out there on the web that's pertinent to you, I suggest you give them a shot.
I love that, and I'm taking notes as you're talking, because I'm thinking like Angel List for me, and a lot of my work could be super helpful, and you could just scrape that content and then put it in a nice Google Doc, and then have somebody kind of go through and use Lucia or any of these other Chrome extensions, Email Hunter, these different tools to be able to get the names and phone numbers of the people that you need to talk to, so you can just get on the phone.
Oh yeah, or you can just do for the sorcerer folks and the Boolean savvy folks, just do an X-ray command and just do that way as well, and you can scrape the Google results. So however you want to do it, it's however you slice and dice it. So it's still, if you're not using it, I highly recommend it.
I have a virtual assistant who's going through and doing some work for me right now, and we could have used the scraping tool for sure, but she's going through and kind of building a prospect list for me in some different areas. So I might turn her on to these. We'll see.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Gmail, because that is something that I use. And I think Gmail combined with your calendar, and then you add the whole Google Docs and spreadsheets and Drive into the mix, can be really great tools that you can access directly from your phone very quickly, but can also help you be able to deal with this deluge of emails. It just keeps coming over and over and over again. So what ones are you using right now?
For me, my Gmail, I'm using it for verification. It's an oldie but a goodie. My favorite Gmail tool is Reportive. Yeah, it was bought by LinkedIn, and then it kind of didn't work so well. It wasn't the best. But then it got a refresher and update not too terribly long ago, and it's beautiful. So any of those emails that you're not too sure about, like we were talking about HireTool and LeadIQ and Lucia earlier. So if you're not too sure about these emails, it's really important for me to understand that the email that I'm sending is a valid email and a verifiable email as well. So Reportive does that, as well as HubSpot. HubSpot has some of the similar functionalities that Reportive does, but HubSpot Sales, that is, and that one will also track your emails. It'll give you templates, and it's a freemium tool that you can use for free until, or you can have a paid for account where you can have more templates, and you can have more open tracks, link clicking tracks. So if I put hey, you can book some time with me on my calendar, I know if somebody clicks the link or what have you. So that's another really, really cool one. So those are two that I use all the time, is HubSpot and Reportive for sure.
So my favorite Gmail extensions right now are Boomerang, which I've used for a really long time. And so I have the unpaid version, so I'm limited. But if I have somebody who I know is really busy, sometimes it's a friend or somebody that I really want to connect with and I want to follow up with them, I can set up Boomerang so I'm notified when they open my email, which is super helpful. And then it will also notify me if they haven't opened my email, and I can send a response back to them as a reminder in a couple days, which I think is really wonderful. We're all busy, and I know emails kind of go through the cracks all the time. I mean, I am the worst. I get so many emails, but Boomerang kind of helps me manage it a little bit better.
Yeah, I wish they would make something for Outlook.
I worked in Outlook for almost a year, and it was so painful because the search functionality is so much different than Gmail, and it was killing me. So I was happy when that project ended and I went back to my Gmail life. It made me have a lot more appreciation because I really felt like Gmail kind of sucked. But in comparison to what maybe you have to deal with in Outlook, it has a lot more nimbleness, I guess.
Oh, yeah, for sure, all day. And something else that I've been playing with a little bit, and another hat tilt to Arron Lentz, is Clearbit. Clearbit is also some more intelligence type of a tool right in your Gmail. It's baked right in. It's really more, from what I've seen so far, it looks like it was designed more for sales folks, but we still want, as recruiters and HR folks, we still want that information too. So I need to play around a little bit more with Clearbit. I've kicked the tires, but I need to dive a little bit more in there. So if you guys are expert users of Clearbit, please give me a shout.
Yeah, reach out to Arron and let us know how you're using it. We would be very interested. The other tool that I'm loving, and I don't use it enough, and I will tell you that because I'm on influencer lists, my email gets sold all over the web, and then I get inundated with a bunch of crap, frankly. And I know that you guys get the same, but on Gmail, I use a tool called unroll.me. It allows me to unsubscribe from lists. So it goes in and it looks to see how many email lists I am subscribed on. Now, I did this a couple weeks ago, and I haven't done this for a couple years, but my email box is getting out of control. I don't have a virtual assistant right now who's managing it, so it's just me. And I had over 6,000 email subscriptions because everybody just adds me to their PR pitch or an email newsletter because they want to stay in touch, and it's overwhelming. I don't need to know about your partnership with an ATS company. I want to know about like cool case studies of what you're doing and new enhancements, but they add me to the list. So Unroll.me allows you to unsubscribe yourself. It's a little manual because there's still things I want to be able to see. Like I want my email from Towers Watson and HBR and maybe a few clients and different other websites and communities, but I don't want to be part of 6,000 emails. It's insanity. So
that's not even manageable.
No,
there's no way.
No, and it's not fair. And I'm trying to be nice when people add me to their PR list, but it's incredibly hard for me to have that kind of patience. So Unroll.me has been good. I removed myself from about 5,700, and so my email box is feeling a little bit lighter. I know I feel lighter when I'm walking around.
I'm taking notes too over here. I'm gonna run that one through my Gmail and see what I find. Yeah, and for other productivities, it's outside of Gmail. But man, I've been loving a tool called Multi-Highlight and Easy Link Preview. Those two, man, they're just amazing tools. Multi-Highlight essentially is you tell it what words you want to have highlight in your screen. So me as a recruiter, I want to look for keywords or locations or whatever, and I turn it on. And no matter what screen is in front of me, whether it's an email or a web page or even in a sidebar, a lot of these Chrome tools have sidebars, it'll highlight that information in there as well. So I really love multi-highlight. And if you're doing a lot of Boolean searches through Google, for those of us who don't run LinkedIn Recruiter, I don't run LinkedIn Recruiter, so I do X-ray searches through LinkedIn or whatever site that I'm at, Quora, Meetup, whatever have you, and I have multi-highlight on for location and keywords, and they're all in separate different colors. So if I'm looking for a TIBCO developer and I have TIBCO and then Java, they'll be in two separate colors so I can quickly scan. It really helps on eye fatigue and the speed of how you can scroll through a Google search window. So because a good recruiter and sourcer should have that sucker opened up all the way to the maximum amount of results per page, which is 100. So yeah, I love multi-highlight. That one right there. Even if you're just doing research, or if you want to, whatever, if you're looking out for a word in whatever it is in your daily, I think multi-highlight's a really, really great tool, and it's super light. It doesn't, thus far, it hasn't caused any conflict, so it plays nice with other extensions too. So I highly recommend that one. Also a free tool.
Now you see why I needed to have Arron on this podcast. My brain hurts after hearing all that. So I will need to listen to this particular piece of the podcast again, because I think this could change my life. So I'm excited to test out multi-highlight and see what's going on with that. One other tool that I was thinking about as you were talking that I really like is Grammarly. And they have a Chrome extension. They also have a Gmail extension, but it has saved my life a little bit because I'm a horrible copy editor. I love writing, but I am horrible at copy editing myself. So I can't edit my own stuff. So I normally send it over to somebody and ask them a nice favor if they'll edit it for me. But Grammarly helps to make it a little bit easier so I don't say stupid things and make mistakes on my Facebook or my blogs or social media, emails, all those things. So it's the basic version is free. Obviously there's paid versions, but in the basic form, it just kind of keeps me honest and reads it in a way that your Word, spell check, and those other things don't.
Oh, for sure. And I installed it because my buddy Josh Jones, who works for Erie, he even just an email between me and him, nothing important, just talking about a tool or what have you. And if I misspell something, he razzes me so bad. Is this how we're doing things today, Arron? Is this how you're spelling? Like, come on, Josh, give me a break. So I installed Grammarly just because I had him.
If Grammarly could be attached to my phone email, that would be even more helpful so that it could make corrections for me.
Or my mouth sometimes. Right?
Oh, God. Yes, I definitely need that. But that's what podcasts are for, right? Because this is not the live version. So this will be edited and then we'll sound amazing. So it's kind of like your Grammarly for the podcast.
Right. Are we going to keep that part in?
Yeah, I think we should. I think it's good.
Nice.
Well, Arron, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I got a good list of cool tools that I didn't know about. I know that the listeners also have as well. Where can people go to learn more about you and what you do and maybe kind of geek out with you at maybe a next Source Houston event or just online?
So you can find me online. It's, Twitter's, on my Twitter, there's a landing page. That's the first pinned tweet. So if you want to find out more about me, other social networks that I'm on, feel free to check out the pinned tweet on my Twitter page. But Source Houston is coming up April 20th. That's right around the corner. So if you're in the area, in the greater Houston area, you can come and check us out there. And then I'm also speaking at a session table for Talent 42 in Seattle in June 27th to 28th. And I'm also running a tools panel for SourceCon in the fall in Austin. So those are places you can find me around this year. It's a busy year.
It is. And so this podcast will drop on the 19th. So they need to go to Source Houston on the 19th. Go ahead and register. Get over there if you're in the area, or plan your trip for the next one, because it's a fun event, casual atmosphere, but a lot of nerds talking about recruiting, which is what we love.
Absolutely. And I've got two more things I want to mention really, really quick.
Absolutely.
So we've been talking about free stuff. And as more and more people are evaluating budgets and becoming leaner when it comes to recruiting spend, I strongly suggest that people look at a higher tool, the paid version, because of its machine learning and AI. Granted, when you put people who say silly things in front of a machine learning, then that machine learning is going to say silly things back. But it's something to really take a look at, especially if you're looking at a recruiting spend budgeting, if you want to look at for something cheaper. And as well, Profit and Lead IQ. Those all have paid for functionality that are far and away a lot nicer than the free stuff, and they have a lot more things coming down the pipe on their product roadmap. So those are three to really take a look at this year and beyond.
One more that I'm thinking as you're talking is discover.org. They have a Chrome extension, but they have a paid version, and it's really robust as well. So you can kind of look at the hierarchy of the business, understand how everything is structured, and then figure out people at the organization where they work, so you can pick up the phone and contact them through email or phone calls.
Oh, that's something I'm taking down right now.
Yeah, discover.org. I used that at the staffing company. It was very helpful, a lot of really good results, but it gives you a better picture of the organizational structure, job titles, things like that.
Awesome. I'm going to use that one tomorrow.
Thank you, Arron, for joining us. We'll link to Arron's LinkedIn. I'll mention all these amazing tools so that you can be able to access them and learn more. But thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. And I love Chrome extensions. I love Gmail extensions. I love all these cool tools because they provide us an opportunity to really gain a competitive advantage and truly be more productive in our workdays, in our roles, in our businesses. Thank you for joining the Workology Podcast, a podcast for the disruptive workplace leader who's tired of the status quo. This is Jessica Miller-Merrill. Until next time, you can visit Workology.com to listen to all our previous podcast episodes. Have a great day.
Production services for the Workology Podcast with Jessica Miller-Merrill provided by the Grammarly for Podcasters, TotalPicture.com.